It was the kind of television moment that stops you from reaching for the remote. The year was 2013, and on the stage of Britain's Got Talent stood a woman who looked like she was about to faint. Her name was Alice Fredenham, a 28-year-old beauty therapist from Harpenden. As she walked onto the stage, she wasn't swaggering or smiling. She was shrinking. Her shoulders were hunched, her fingers were crisscrossed in a tight knot of anxiety, and she moved in small, hesitant steps as if the floor was made of ice. When the judges asked her who she had brought with her for support, she delivered a line that broke the hearts of millions watching at home. She replied, quietly, that she had come alone. "I said in case if I failed, I don't have to admit to anyone who knows me," she explained, her voice trembling. This wasn't the usual "I want to be a superstar" bravado. This was a woman who had accepted defeat as a habit. She admitted she was a fearful loser who still carried a tiny ember of hope, but was terrified of blowing it out. When the music started for My Funny Valentine, something miraculous happened. The trembling stopped. The fragile woman was replaced by a voice that sounded like it belonged in a smoky, dimly lit jazz bar in the 1940s. It was sultry, deep, and timeless. As the last note faded, the audience erupted. Simon Cowell, a man notoriously hard to please, looked stunned. He leaned into his microphone and uttered the phrase that would define her career, "That is liquid gold." Alice Fredenham went viral. In an instant, she became the people's champion, the shy girl next door who hid a world-class talent. It seemed like the start of a fairy tale. But as we are about to see, fairy tales rarely survive the reality of television. The euphoria surrounding Alice was palpable. The YouTube views skyrocketed. She was the one to watch. However, the clock was ticking, and the narrative was about to change drastically. Just 1 week after her BGT audition aired, Alice appeared on a rival BBC show, The Voice UK. The contrast was jarring. On Britain's Got Talent, she was a nervous wreck. On The Voice, filmed months earlier, she was composed, confident, and walked onto the stage without a single stutter. The viewing public is a savvy beast. They immediately sensed a discrepancy. Social media lit up with accusations. Viewers accused her of faking her stage fright for sympathy votes. They pointed out that she had sung professionally before and had even recorded My Funny Valentine in a studio months earlier. Tweets flooded in calling her a fraud and using hashtags like #MuggedOff. The twist of the Alice Fredenham story is not that she was a liar, it is that she was a pawn. In an interview following the backlash, Alice tried desperately to explain the impossible situation she had been caught in. She revealed that she had auditioned for The Voice first, long before BGT came calling. She failed at The Voice. Sir Tom Jones, the legendary crooner, delivered a crushing blow to her self-esteem, telling her she looked better than she sounded. Devastated, she fell to pieces backstage. Her boyfriend, Joe Lindsay, had to convince her to try one more time, hence her shell-shocked appearance on BGT a few months later. She explained that the nerves on BGT were real because she had already been rejected once and was terrified of reliving the trauma. "The Voice made me look fake," she lamented. "I was upset. I did feel a bit like a pawn between two shows. What happens in the editing suite is up to the show." It was a classic case of television production overriding human reality. The BBC wanted to air their show first, ITV wanted their scared narrative. But the damage was done. The public perception shifted from underdog to actress. The magic spell was broken. Despite the scandal, Simon Cowell remained in her corner. He defended her authenticity on air, famously telling the press and the judges that he wasn't easily fooled and that he believed the nervous girl was the real Alice. He even upgraded his compliment from liquid gold to liquid platinum. All eyes turned to the live semifinals. This was her chance to silence the critics. If she could deliver a perfect performance under pressure, the scandal would be forgotten, and a star would be born. She walked out in a stunning red dress to sing Cry Me a River. The stage was set for redemption. But the pressure was too immense. Partway through the song, Alice made a mistake. She fluffed a line. The fragile confidence that had barely held together shattered instantly. You could see the fear return to her eyes. The judges tried to save her. David Walliams called her every inch a star, and Alicia Dixon called the performance hypnotizing. But the public vote is unforgiving. When the results came in, Alice Fredenham did not make the top 3. She was out of the competition. She went back to her dressing room, defeated twice over, first by The Voice, now by BGT. She tweeted a simple, heartbroken message to her followers, just gutted. Thank you so much for all that voted X. It seemed like the end of the road. Most reality TV rejects fade back into obscurity, returning to their day jobs. But for Alice, this is where the story gets truly strange and hopeful. After the dust settled on 2013, most people assumed Alice Fredenham gave up. They assumed the scandal and the rejection had sent her back to the beauty parlor for good. For a long time, they were right. She went quiet. But then, in late 2014, the silence broke. Against all odds, despite the public backlash and the failure to win the public vote, Alice Fredenham signed a major record deal. She didn't sign with a small indie label. She signed with Sony Music. Yes, the same Sony that Simon Cowell is synonymous with. The Liquid Gold girl had gotten her golden ticket after all, just not through the live final. She had won the ultimate business prize, a contract with a major label. So, if she signed with Sony in 2014, why haven't you heard of her? Why isn't she selling out the O2 Arena? This is the final reveal of this saga. For 10 years, Alice Fredenham has existed in a strange kind of limbo. She is not famous, but she is not forgotten. While many artists from that era have vanished entirely, Alice has been quietly, patiently building a career away from the screaming lights of the talent show stage. She has cultivated a fiercely loyal, fanatical international fanbase, over 51,000 dedicated followers who don't care about the 2013 drama. She has been performing, recording, and existing as a legitimate, if low-profile, jazz artist. Which brings us to the present. What is Alice Fredenham doing now? After a decade of whispers and waiting, Alice Fredenham has just released new music. In July 2024, a decade after the Sony deal and 11 years after the Tears on Stage, Alice dropped a new single titled Air. The track is a revelation. It is not a nervous jazz standard. It is a confident, mature, electronic-infused pop song. According to Music Analysis, Air has a fast tempo of 144 BPM, sitting in the key of C minor, with a euphoric, cheerful, and happy vibe. Listen to that description again. Asterisk euphoric. Cheerful. Happy asterisk. This is not the voice of the trembling beauty therapist. This is the voice of a survivor. She has spent the last 11 years learning that talent shows are not about talent, they are about television ratings. She was used as a pawn in a battle between ITV and the BBC. She was edited to look like a fraud, criticized for having a good face, and rejected by the public for making a single mistake. But she is still here. In 2026, the narrative surrounding Alice is no longer about scandal. It is about endurance. She is the comeback kid of the talent show genre. While she may never be a global pop sensation, she has achieved something that most contestants never do: she survived the machine. She stopped chasing the validation of Simon Cowell or Tom Jones. She stopped trying to prove she wasn't a fake. She just kept singing. So, what happened to Alice Fredenham? She lost. Then she won a record deal. Then she vanished. And now, in 2026, she is quietly releasing music that, for the first time, sounds like she is actually happy. She is no longer the girl crying on stage asking for a chance. Alice Fredenham has finally given herself permission to just be the artist. And maybe, just maybe, that is a happier ending than winning a trophy ever could have been.